Hi, Cindy here for your weekly inspiration. Today, I really felt into what I wanted to speak about, or maybe bring some inspiration for today. And what kept coming up for me is getting into receptive mode. Now, I spoke about this a little bit in a visioning workshop that I had this past weekend with a couple of beautiful souls, and it was really delightful. We talked a lot about how to get in receptive mode when we're envisioning our future and when we're thinking about getting into the manifestation energy and state of mind. We need to find a way to really tap into our receptive mode. We are really great at doing and being active and being busy, and that can be helpful, being active and a part of our life, and striving for the things that we desire is one way that we're all pretty good at that part, but sometimes we go too far. And instead of just doing all the time, I feel like that sometimes is a forcing energy, or can feel like a forcing energy. But when we get in more of a receptive mode, now this doesn't mean we don't do anything, but when we get into a receptive and receiving mode, then we're more open and we get more in alignment with the energy that we are wanting to connect with. So I also spoke to my husband about it today, because he was feeling a little bit off, and having some worries about our future and some different things that are happening in our world. And what I did for him is help him to get a little bit clearer by getting into the receptive mode. Now, if anybody here has ever listened to Abraham Hicks, they talk a lot about getting into the receptive mode and getting into alignment with our highest desires. They call it into our vortex of creation, all of the things that we wish to create and bring forth into our life, that we do project out and we can connect with, but only if we are in the same energy space as what we're trying to connect with. An example of this would be, if we are trying to create more abundance in our life, let's say an easy one for most of us to think about is financially. We want more money. We want more things in our life to either pay for bills, or get out of debt, or buy things that we covet, or go on trips. Whatever it is that we desire, often in this human realm, requires some money. So many of us can probably attest to the fact that we would like a little bit more of abundance of that kind of energy coming into our awareness. But if we're in the moment and we're constantly thinking more negatively about money or lack of money, thinking, I have so many bills to pay, I don't have enough money, I want more money, but I don't have enough, I don't know how to get it, it's never coming, then we aren't really, if you think about the energy of those two things, about being abundant and having financial freedom, or having enough finances to do whatever it is that we desire. If that's where we want to be, but we're thinking about our lack and scarcity and what we don't have, but we wish that we did, because we focus so heavily on what's in the moment, because it's right in front of us. It's easy for us to do, and that's what we've learned. But we can't connect to the other energy if we're in more of a lack space. If we want more of an abundant and expansive space, we can't get there if we are in a space of lack and an energy and mindset of lack. So how do we get there? And sometimes I still struggle with this, but I have a couple of things. And Abraham Hicks is also, or Abraham, it has also offered a couple of things for us to consider to move us more into the receptive mode. So one of them is sleeping. I mean, it's not maybe an invitation to sleep all the time, because that's not obviously going to do much. You're just going to be never awake to do anything or receive anything. But whenever we go to sleep at night and then we wake up in the morning, that is the time that we are the most receptive until we start thinking, right? As sometimes our thoughts happen as soon as we come into wakefulness, and as soon as we open our eyes, as soon as we see it's a new day, we can very quickly attach back onto our previous energy of lack, or wherever else our headspace was before we went to sleep. But this is our best case. This is our best time to actually get into a better receptive state of mind, because the day has just begun and we've had that space of sleep and of pause and of time to have some stillness in our thoughts, even though we still dream and we still have some of those things happening. So that is one way, is to sleep. maybe if you're feeling a little bit off, have a bit of a nap, or know that the next day can bring new beginnings and new energy. Another way is meditating. I meditate regularly, and my intention initially for meditating was not to get into the receptive state. I had no idea what that even meant. My reason for meditating initially was, well, I was in a yoga teacher training course, and that was what was required, is to start to develop a daily practice of yoga. And of meditation and yoga, really. But I'd always wanted to meditate, but my mind is super busy. I used to be moving, like previously in this video, I probably would have been like pacing up back and forth, but I still move a little bit. However, I didn't think that meditation would work for me because I used to be very busy in body and mind. And I quickly realized when I started to practice daily with my meditations that actually I feel more grounded and centered and clear and connected to self and to others and to the planet when I do meditate, when I get still, and it doesn't mean I have to get quiet in my thoughts. That's a misconception that people have about meditation. But it is helpful if we can be aware of what's happening in those present moments, in those times when you're sitting, and if you do have some thoughts, noticing that you have the thoughts, noticing how the body feels. It could be uncomfortable, it could be easeful. So meditating also helps us to get into more receptive states. For me, some other ways that has been helpful for me to get into receptive states, and it simply means that we are shifting our energy into a state of more receptivity, that we're more open, we're more clear, and it's usually more in a positive way. If we can find the spaces in our life that bring us joy, that is key as well. Find things that bring you joy. Does it bring you joy to play with your kids? Does it bring you joy to move your body? Does it bring you joy to read? Does it bring you joy to create, to paint or draw? And sometimes you have to figure out what does bring you joy. And that's really fun. You get to experiment and try something. Hey, does this bring me joy? Not really. I don't like it. Felt like a chore. Does this bring me joy? Yes, it does. I'm going to keep going with that. So finding things that bring you joy has been helpful. And for me, energy work has also been helpful. Getting energy sessions, Reiki sessions, therapeutic touch, sound baths, yoga, movement, conscious movement. It doesn't have to be yoga specifically, just moving your body in the way that it desires and the way that it feels really good and joyful. That has been helpful for me. Journaling is also helpful. Voice journaling or written journals can be helpful, or even in speaking to another person that is listening to you and receptive to what you have to say and open-minded. Those are some other things that can be helpful for you. Grounding yourself. I do a lot of grounding in my meditation, but you don't have to be meditating to ground. You can simply just feel yourself in your body. You can also, if it feels good for you, visualize roots growing out of your feet or your tailbone down deep into the Mother Earth so that you feel grounded on the earth. Sometimes we can get really lifted and in our heads, so I feel it like it's almost a sensation of like floating and not being here, not being in this body. So a sense of groundedness can help you find some clarity. There's many other ways that you can get into the receptive mode that I found. Everyone's a bit different, so explore. For me, water is super helpful. Being in water or around water or seeing water, waterfalls or streams, or hearing it, or being in a bath or in a pool or something like that is helpful as well. So find what works for you, and being in the receptive mode can just help you to align with your desires. And I would like to hear from you if you have anything that you want to share about how you get into your receptive mode. I'm always open to, I'm curious, I'm interested. I love hearing about what you have to say. So I hope that this was helpful, getting you into the receptive mode. And I hope you have the most magical day. Thanks so much for joining me today. Namaste.